Hello there! In this tutorial, we'll be creating this great white shark with Montmartre plaster wrap and painting him with acrylic colour. Our shark will be built over a cardboard armature, and although the project has been simplified, we've tried to keep the shark's general form as realistic as possible. So it would be achievable to do, say, over a weekend. So let's get into it. As we said, we'll need some cardboard, scissors and a hobby knife. But if you are not yet an adult, you will need one to help you with this stage of any of the cutting. And if you are an adult, remember the golden rule to always cut away from yourself. We will also need a ruler, preferably a 60 centimetre or a 1 metre one. Blue, red and black marker, and these are acrylic paint pens, by the way. So first we need to print out this top and side elevation in A3 sizing. This will give us a shark that measures 250mm on the plans. And from here we just simply multiply each measurement by 4. This will give us a 1 metre long shark from the rear fin to the tip of the snout. So we first draw in the blue line to 1 metre. We then measure and mark the red ribs on the top and bottom of the blue line. There should be 11 of these ribs. Once the blue line and rib lines are in, we can carefully draw the side of the profile of the shark. We used a black marker for this. We can then carefully profile cut the shark out around the black line. And then cut the side profile horizontally using the knife and straight edge. We put these two parts aside and can now work on the top elevation. We begin by laying in the blue line. We then take off the top of the side profile, lay in the blue lines together and mark the 11 rib points with the red dot. Take the measurements off the top elevation, multiply them by 4, mark them onto the cardboard and create them in lines in right angles. The profile lines for the top elevation can now be drawn in and the profile cut. We can then fasten the two parts of the top and bottom of the side elevation to the top elevation with clear packing tape. Stay inspired and don't miss a video from us. Subscribe and leave a comment below with what you'd like us to create next. We love to hear from you. The next stage is to create the ribs. These are best done one by one and can be created by marking a cross onto the cardboard, then by taking the top and side elevations, upsizing them by multiplying them by 4, creating the 4 arcs and cutting each semicircular shape out. They can then be adhered to the main body with packaging tape. It's easiest to use scissors to cut these out. We worked our way from rib 1 down to the smallest rib, 11. This is the part of the project where you have to say to yourself, this is going to take a while. Brew a cup of tea and put your favourite music on. Well, that's the last of the rib stage, and it's taken shape pretty well. I know that was quite laborious, but in this next stage, we'll be laying on the skin and it'll be really fun. So let's get into it. We can start layering in that packaging tape from the nose to the tail. As we do this, we keep the tape as tight as possible. As I was doing this, I couldn't help thinking this stage would have been heaps easier with the tape gun or tape dispenser. So if you do have one, you might like to do this at this stage. It just might make things easier. Now the tape is in place, we can apply the plaster gauze. Begin by filling a large bowl with water. Roll out some plaster wrap and measure by eye along the shark and cut out the wrap with scissors. The wrap can then be dipped into water, dragged through until totally soaked. The wrap can then be laid over the tape. The next sheet can then be slightly overlapped over the previous one and so on. Obviously, to apply it to the underside of the sculpture, we had to turn the shark upside down. Once the sculpture has received a few layers of the wrap, we can smooth the plaster out with our hands and fill all the holes in the wrap up. Lay the wrap over the fins and wrap small bits around the edges. I actually think applying the plaster wrap was the most fun part of the project. If you're into projects like this one, subscribe to the Creative Connection. You can get heaps of inspo, ideas, tips and tricks delivered directly to your inbox, and all for free. Once the body of the shark is covered, we can move on to the fins. We first started with the side fins, also called pectoral fins. These can be cut from the cardboard and covered with a couple of layers of wrap. Fold the wrap around the edge of the fins and continue until there is 4 coats of plaster wrap on each fin. Allow the 2 fins to dry thoroughly. While these are drying, we can create the 2 pelvic fins and the smaller second dorsal fin. So cover these with a few coats of plaster wrap and again let them all dry. The cardboard will obviously get a little soggy from the water, but become firm again once the plaster dries. To apply the pectoral fins, we cut some squares out of wrap and half attach the wrap above where we want the fins to be and let them dry. Once half of the square is dry, we can then wet the other side and apply it over the fins and again allow it to dry. Once dry, we can reinforce the join of the fins to the body. So follow the same process for the other fins and allow it all to harden, and then apply some extra wrap if you need to. The eyes can be created with little balls of wrap pressed into the side of the shark. Allow this all to dry. We can now move on to the next stage, painting. The painting is also greatly simplified. We begin by turning our friend upside down and painting the underside in with titanium white. Using a 25mm brush, Okay, well that's the white on. While this dries, we can mix up a nice blue-grey for the top of our great white shark. And it comprises of phthalo blue, sap green and a touch of white. So let's get that on. After we have the grey blue on, we can paint the eyes in with Payne's Grey. Well, thanks for watching. We hope you enjoyed the process of Sharky's creation. It really was a fun project to make, and Plaster Wrap is such a fantastic product. So stay tuned because we've got a lot of really great tutorials in the pipeline. Above all, remember to keep on creating.